Hello, teachers. Hello. Welcome to Let's Talk Teaching. This evening, we're talking about autism and how to assist learners with autism in the classroom. And I'm so excited. We've been planning this for the whole month of April, April being the theme for Autism Awareness Month, or autism being the theme for this month, April. And we've had a lot of requests on how to help a child with autism in the classroom. And we've got to remember that autism is a spectrum disorder. So you have the different ranges of autism, which we're going to speak about. And it's exciting. I'm seeing the comments coming through already, guys. It's so lovely to have you on board. Please tell us where you are and where you are teaching, maybe. Give us a little bit of information so that we feel connected. This is an interactive session for those of you who are new to Let's Talk Teaching. We want interaction, we want questions, we want comments. And the more you talk and the more you interact, the more chance you have to win the lucky draw, which means if you win, you get education services to help you with anything next month. So it can be a consultation. It could mean we'll come and visit your school and have a chat to you. It might mean a workshop for your staff, whatever. This is an opportunity. If you're feeling you need a bit more support, Education Services is here to help. So the lucky draw this evening is where you want to put your name, all right? So comment, tell us where you are, tell us what you teach. And I'm joined by my colleague, Leandri. I'm going to bring her on to say hello while I get my slides ready, and then we are going to jump off and start our webinar. We're hoping to be done by 6:30 because we know teachers are busy and don't have a lot of time on their hands. So let me just bring Leandri on and we can say hello to everybody.
Hello.
Hello, Mikey.
Hey, how are you?
We can hear you and see you. Yeah, I'm
Okay,
good, thank you. I see there's lots of comments coming on. Yeah,
that's
we've
great.
got Ilse, we've got Angela.
Yes, it's so nice to have teachers interact and talk and give us comments and ask questions. I mean, that's what we do, why we are doing these free sessions every Wednesday. So we are very happy. Yeah, let me quickly introduce myself. I am Leandri. I work with Philippa for Education Services. I'm also a lecturer at NMU in Inclusive Education, Educational Psychology, and for pre-grad third year foundation-based students. So yes, we enjoy talking to teachers. We enjoy interacting with teachers and sharing the knowledge. Philippa has also recently joined NMU, so we are both in the same boat with regards to work. And autism for me is a very, very important subject because I did most of my research on that. So I'm very excited about this month, and I can talk about autism for hours and hours and hours. So yes, as Philippa said, we're going to try and be done by 6:30, but we'll see. But please, if you've got specific questions, please ask specific questions, especially if you've got a child in your class with autism. Sorry, I lost you there for a moment, Philippa.
Yes, please do so. So I'm going to get my slides up. No, all good. We are going to sort of start with the introduction of, and hopefully you are able to see these slides because, let me just share my screen quickly as we go ahead. There we go, add to the stage. Okay, so as we launch, we're talking about teaching, and I've put there, can you see my screen now?
Yes, I can see this.
Okay, as I've put talk in brackets, I've underlined talk because this is where we are going to be talking, but we're wanting teachers to be talking along with us and commenting and asking questions. And hopefully at the end of our session, there'll be an opportunity for a Q&A, all right? So that's why we want to try and get teachers to engage. We want you to feel that you are being heard and that your comments and your concerns are being addressed during this session. So why we talked about or why we are wanting to address autism is because we feel like the numbers of children who are being recognized as having autism seems to be on the increase. We are hearing more and more teachers bringing up concerns about specific children. And as they're talking about what they're seeing, sort of behaviors that they're seeing in the classroom, or what these children are doing, it's ringing alarm bells. And I'm sure Leandra will agree. It rings alarm bells, and I'm thinking, wow, this could be an autism disorder. And so why we talk about how it's diagnosed is because there's a specific process, right? We don't diagnose, and teachers can't diagnose. Only specific people can diagnose. And we're going to talk about the process, and then we're going to talk about some of the early signs. So I hope you are able to read those and see those slides. Maybe you can just put a comment in the chat if you can see those clearly. But Leandra, do you want to just talk about who are the right people that can diagnose autism?
Well, first of all, there's no specific standardized test. We do not do blood tests or brain scans or something specific that indicates autism. So it's almost a process of elimination. When a child seems to have the signs of autism, they will go to neurological pediatrician, or as educational psychologist, or as any type of psychologist who works with children, or pediatricians and doctors. They will go to that person, and then they will start the process of elimination, where they would look at auditory skills, perceptual skills, sensory skills, sensory sensitivities, or sensory seeking. There are a whole list of things that they first eliminate before we get to the diagnosis of ASD. So I'm going to refer to it as ASD, so autism spectrum disorder. And then also the severity of the ASD, or the level that they are at. So as you can see on the slide, we've got level 1, 2, and 3. I don't know if you want to talk about that, Philippa, but yes, I think it's important to note that there's no, that's why it's also difficult diagnosing ASD, because there's no specific test that you can do. So we go through a screening process, and then a process of elimination, and then the doctor, whoever the child who's going to diagnose the child, will then decide whether it's ASD or not, with regards to the signs and symptoms that the child is presenting within themselves in certain surroundings. So yeah, that's why I say it's very difficult to diagnose it, because we do not have specific evidence with regards to that. And many other things might present as autism as well. Something like a sensory sensitivity, where children are overloaded quickly with certain things, or maybe have meltdowns because they're struggling with emotional regulation, or many different kinds of things, or highly gifted, intelligent children focusing on specific subjects and excelling in certain areas of their interests. So there are many different kinds of things that may have similar signs and symptoms as ASD, but that's why we go through a process of elimination. So I'll later on I'll talk about the therapy that's available, but yes, so mostly it would be a doctor.
So the chances of you having a child with level 3, yes, the chances of our mainstream teachers who are mostly online with us having a child on a level 3 autism are not common. So it's rare. It's rare that you're going to have a child who has severe communication deficits, or who is non-verbal or pre-verbal. In your mainstream classes, you are more likely going to be finding children on a level 1, or sometimes a level 2. But I just wanted to sort of specify that when a child gets diagnosed, they usually are diagnosed on a certain level. And then the teachers would then have to sort of know how to support that particular child.
Yes, and if we
some of the early signs, we just talk about some of the signs. Yeah.
No, if I can say something about the levels, because it's a spectrum disorder, we call it high functioning and low functioning autism. That's the level 1, 2, and 3. Low functioning meaning that they've got low functions, and high functioning meaning that they've got high functions. So many times people will tell me, that child is very high on the spectrum, meaning that they are actually low functioning. They've got very low functions, and they need a lot of support. So that's just important to understand as well.
A lot of support.
the level 1, 2, and 3 is also called high functioning, low functioning. And then we've got something called Asperger's syndrome. Those are your children who has very high functioning skills, so they can actually cope and be accommodated in a mainstream school. They might just have some of the signs and symptoms of autism as well. Yes.
Yeah, and some of the early signs there you'd probably see more in your pre-primary schools, where the children are now playing, doing a lot of play, and you watch how they play. You know, the way they structure their play and the way they line up their toys, or the type of things that they gravitate towards to go and play with would be sort of different to a neurotypical child. These children would prefer to play on their own and won't necessarily initiate play with another child, but will just play, do their own thing, and do specific things.
And they've got specific interests that they're fascinated about. So they would always migrate to the same type of thing and do the same play, where other children, neurotypical children, will interact with many different toys.
Yes. Also the things about having to know routine, you know, not wanting too much change. They don't like change. They like to stick to their same routine. They usually prefer to do the same things over and over again. Tiptoe walking is also quite common. Not being able to make eye contact, and not liking to be touched are some of the sort of more common symptoms, I think, of these little people.
Yeah.
All right. I also wanted to mention the fact that, as I said, there seems to be the prevalence of autism seems to be increasing. Maybe we're becoming more aware of autism, so more children are being referred. But the stats, and this is South African stats, is 1 in 100, sometimes 2. So 2%, between 1 and 2% of the population or children being diagnosed. And it's 3% higher in boys. And it's often the girls that get missed, and it seems to be girls are being diagnosed much later. So we're hearing of a lot of adult women who are now going to the doctor because they're struggling with mental illness, or they're struggling to socialize, and they might be really battling with the executive function, and they are being diagnosed late with autism. And there's sort of almost a new diagnosis called AUDHD. I hope I get that right. AUDHD, which is the layering of autism with ADHD. So AUDHD. And these ladies, or these women, are now sort of deciding, what do I do now? I'm older, but I'm struggling with my social interaction, or I'm struggling with my relationships, I'm struggling with my work, all the responsibilities of running a home. And it seems to be that they are being diagnosed later. But some of the symptoms of girls, I'm not going to read them all there, but it's really just, again, struggling to socialize, struggling to maintain friendships, battling with the executive functions, really battling with sometimes anxiety and depression, and really just looking for support. And going to the doctor because you're feeling like there's something, I'm missing something here. This is not this. I'm struggling. My friends seem to be okay. I'm struggling. What is happening? And so they go to the doctor, and then or the psychiatrist, and get a diagnosis.
Yes.
Did you want to comment on that, Leandri?
No, I just think that it's interesting that we've got all this information available to us now, and diagnoses for children are very recent as well. In the previous years, they would just end up in special needs schools, and nobody really knows what's happening. Where I think it's really amazing that we've got all this information, and that that we can actually put a diagnosis to someone, and they can start understanding themselves and placing themselves in the right category as well. So I don't think it's a bad thing at all. I think it's a good thing that we do know how to approach people better, and if knowledge is key. So especially for teachers working with colleagues who might be on the spectrum, or with children in the classes, or parents. Some parents also have ASD. It's nice to know that now we can approach people in the right way and meet their needs as well.
Yeah, that emotional regulation is also a red flag. You know, if you struggle to keep calm, and you tend to be very irritable, or you struggle to, I suppose, keep an emotional stability, struggle with sensory, too much noise, battling to go to, go to a noisy shopping center, or go to a place where there's a lot of sensory input, it becomes overwhelming, and you struggle to just sort of manage that sensory overload.
No, I agree.
I see Rianda has joined us, so I'm going to go across to, I'm going to let her in a few seconds, but she's there. Rianda, do you want to join us?
Hello, everyone.
Hello. I'm glad you made it home safe.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks you for letting me in late. I'm sorry. It was nice to see you girls.
Thanks for joining us.
Of course.
Better late than never. You talk
yeah.
about interventions. So Andrew is going to talk about the interventions over here. Yeah?
Yeah, so interventions, early intervention is always the best for a child with autism. And I think it's important to also know that intervention is a long process. It's not something that we're going to do for 3 months and the child will overcome something or become better at something specific and then move on. I think intervention for children with autism is very important. And having a multidisciplinary team with the teacher included in that team is very, very important. So with a child with autism, as they need a specific routine and a set structure, it is important for the teacher, the parent, and the therapist to be on the same page and to work together in order to gain a certain goal, especially with your little ones, your younger ones. Routine for them is very, very important. They struggle to be set out of routine, so it's important for the people in their lives to also talk to each other. So early intervention can make a very big difference, especially for a child who's nonverbal. I've seen that happening in practice where a child was nonverbal, and as the multidisciplinary team started working with that child, they could actually acquire the necessary skills to begin talking. So we did see a lot of improvement as early intervention started. So intervention might include something like OT, so that's your occupational therapists. They will work on your perceptual skills and help them with sensory things like emotional regulation as well, sensory sensitivities or sensory seeking activities. So OT is very, very important, and I feel a child with autism will stay in OT for a very long time. As they need that constant repetition of therapy in order to regulate themselves. Speech and auditory, that is for children with speech delays or language delays. And many times we see that with children with autism, that they do struggle with speech and acquisition of their languages. So speech therapy is important if that's necessary for a child with autism. Not all children need that, but it is important. Play therapy, just to get rid of all the emotional things it's building up for them, where neurotypical children might have their own ways in order to regulate themselves and make sense of the world around them, especially with social interaction. I feel like play therapy is very important for a child on the spectrum to gain those life skills in order to regulate themselves and navigate themselves and place themselves in the correct environments, and to understand as well when they are in certain situations what to do in order for them to navigate through that successfully. And then family therapy is very, very important. And family therapy with your multidisciplinary team is very important for you as a teacher to understand, because there would be certain therapy that parents go through in order to give them the skills and the knowledge to help their child to be successful in life. So that is where you as a teacher also comes in. So many times therapists will approach you as a teacher and give you this certain skills and certain activities or certain things that they would require from you as a teacher to do in class in order to make it easier on the family and easier for the child with autism to cope. So family therapy is very important. I would almost say that occupational therapy a child will stay in occupational therapy for very long, and that's also the first step when you've got a child with autism in your class, and they've gone through the process of a diagnosis. Then they would almost always start with occupational therapy. So, and they will stay in occupational therapy for very long. Just to recap, so speech, not always necessary, but very effective and important if it's necessary. Play therapy is also not always necessary, but it's very good for the children. And family therapy is always a very good thing. Family therapy will also take place with the psychologist, educational psychologist. So yes, there are many different things, and obviously the more severe the autism on level wise becomes, there are more therapies to meet specific needs. That was a mouthful.
Yep. Awesome. Okay. All right. Well, let's go to now what happens in the classroom. So obviously teachers are on the ground. They are in the trenches with our kids and need to know how to manage. You know, you've got 30 children in your class, or you've got 24 children in the class, and you might have one on the spectrum who's really struggling, and you need to get on with the teaching side of things. So, Rianda, this is your area of speciality. So how do we handle meltdowns and behavior in the
Firstly, I
classroom?
I want to say that remember that what I said there in red, remember some ideas will work and some will not. It depends on every child. Autism it's not one thing. It's not, you can't handle them the same way almost. That's why I've given so many ideas that you must really see which will work for this child. The thing is, you know this child the best in your class, and it depends on the situation in your class. So some of the ideas might be silly and some will work. What I've seen and what I've practiced and things is these things that I've found that work. Number one, take the child to a calm and a quiet place, if possible, outside of your class or inside your class. Remove the other kids. When you come back to your class, explain to the other kids why. Sometimes we don't understand the effect on them, but they don't understand what's happening. But if that child has been in the class for a while, the other kids are very accommodating and they don't mind, they understand, and most cases they also help. Number two, I've seen this work. This sounds silly, but this really works. You must start counting backwards or random numbers. 1, 5, 8, 3. It's unlogical because then the emotions in the brain start calming down. So what I did is I counted backwards or in random numbers, because then your brain goes, the child's brain goes into what is she saying? What numbers? These numbers doesn't make sense. So then the logic comes in again. And so that calmed this child that I worked with. It calmed him down. Another thing that worked is take the child for a walk outside in the grass, barefoot, if possible, if the child will allow it, if you have grass available. Sit down, very important, on their level, and say, acknowledge their feelings. I can see this is hard for you. I can see you are frustrated. I can see that you are overwhelmed, or whatever emotion that child is feeling. You as an adult can see it, and you know this child. Acknowledge that feeling, and then you say, okay, now tell me, how can I help you? What do you need? What would you like me to do? How can I make this better for you? Give them a fidget toy, a doll, a blanket, if available. If they can come with a blanket to school, if they can come with a fidget toy. Again, the situation in your class is different, and you will know what will suit. Some kids, I've given a child a piece of breast stick, and it calmed him down, and the fascination of pulling it apart and letting it go and moving it together, that calmed him down. Every time I just gave him a piece of breast stick. It was magic, but it was just a piece of breast stick. That was that. So yeah. Very important. Speak calmly and softly and with patience and love. Do not show your frustrations or your fears or other feelings. This child in front of you, if they're having a meltdown, they're looking for an anchor. They're looking for a safe place. They're looking for someone, for something to hold on to, and that is you. So it's very hard, but there's no space or time then for your feelings. You as an adult, as the teacher, must deal with that later on with your friend or with your colleague or with someone else. And in that moment, you must be calm and you must speak softly and quietly. If you also get excited and shout, it's going to end up in a shouting, screaming match, and that's not it. That's not the outcome that you want. Another thing that you can try is to have a coloring book and crayons available, any kinds of pictures. Again, you know this child, you know, does he love tractors? Does he love flowers? Does she love ballerinas? Whatever, unicorns, dinosaurs, whatever this child likes, have a few of those pages available in the coloring corner, or and coloring crayons or cookies or those whiteboard markers, anything that you can have available that they can go sit and they can take their mind almost off what is happening inside. Very important, if possible, if you could watch out and try and watch out before the meltdown, then you manage it better. If you can see, all right, this child is overwhelmed, this child is building it up, it's building up, try and handling it then, because then it's more logical and you can have more time talking to this child and you can have a better situation than having a blowout, having a volcano, and then having to explain and handle that. So if you can solve the problem a little bit earlier, that will be much better for you and the whole class. Something else is, I saw that, I haven't tried this, but I've seen that and I've heard that this is amazing. You have these breathing cards that you also put on like a key holder, and they can have this breathing card with them with pictures. So the one card will say, take 5 calm, deep breaths. The next card will say, give them an instruction and they must just read it. Look at the clouds, count the clouds. They must breathe in and breathe out. These cards are amazing, apparently. Easy crafts available in your class to do. Again, if you can do it, if you can have crafts available in your class, then this is also, art is very amazing in so many different ways. And especially with kids with autism, sometimes they love to do art, they love to be busy. It takes their mind off whatever is going on inside of them, and when they calm down with the art, you can get out, okay, this is the problem, this is what upset me, this is what I would like to talk about, this is what I did not like. Okay. Something very nice as well is that you get this, it's an I Spy bottle, and you can so easily make it, but a friend of mine makes these, and it's like a bottle filled with sand and different kinds of objects, and then they get to turn the bottle around, and they can see, all right, now I must find the stone, now I must find the sticker, now I must find the little shell inside. And this also calms them down, because then again logic comes in, and the twirling of the sand and things, it really calms them down. Really, this is amazing. Breathing exercises, very important, because we all know if you start to breathe, your brain gets oxygen and then you start to think. Okay, because anyone, if we get emotional, our brain goes into fight or flight mode. So imagine a child or someone with autism and with sensory overload and with all of that frustration and feelings building up, then it just gets to a point where they cannot handle anything else. Something that is also very nice is that you use your hand. Like I said, they use your hand and you count backwards from 5 to 1 on your fingers. And you say, I can use my 5 senses to calm me down. Name 5 colors that I can see. Name 4 sounds that I can hear. Name 3 textures that I can see or feel. 2 scents that I can smell. And 1 slow breath in and out. And then I will be okay. Right. So another thing that you can try, this also worked very well with my class, is where you have one of those big bouncy balls, those yoga balls, I think, in your class where you can use as when the child gets too upset or they need a 5-minute break or a breathing break, they can go sit and do it on the board. It removes them from their situation that they are overwhelmed in, and they physically go to another place. All of these things can also be used for like if you can use it for all of the kids in your class, but it's difficult, I know, to have something especially for one child, because what about the rest? You know, it's difficult, and the rest will get upset if they can't do that, and they can't go bounce, or they can't do the art or whatever. But all of these things you can turn into, they must learn it. They must do well with it, and then they do their homework and all of their jobs and all of their things, and then they can also go pick an activity. But then you as a teacher knows in which box you must put this little one for his activity that he will need to calm him down. All right. Okay. So I think that there's so many ideas.
Thank you. Oh, those are lovely.
Yeah.
So lovely. So lovely. So a lot of questions are coming through with teachers asking where are these resources. We will put them in a file. So I've put a QR code on the screen. If you want to take a photo of it with your phone, you just need to have a QR code scanner, or some fancy phones, you just take a photo of it and it will automatically go to a QR code. We have a resource file that we have loaded a whole lot of resources in ahead of this webinar, specifically for autism. There's a folder for dyslexia, there's a folder for autism, for ADHD, and additional ones. So if you are able to scan that QR code, it should take you straight to a little sign up. You need to give us permission so that we can share the file with you. And then all these resources are available for you. But as well as those breathing cards. So what we will try and do is find where the breathing cards, teachers were asking, how do we get the breathing cards? We will try and see if we can find those for you. But in the meantime, you can just take a photo. Hopefully you're able to see this QR code. You can scan it, and then you have access to a Google Drive, which has additional resources in. All right, there's so much to share. We just don't have enough time to share everything.
Yes.
And you will receive these slides as a PDF. All right, we will make them available and we'll email them to you. We've got all your email addresses because you very kindly registered for this webinar. So we will share the slides, and then you will have this code. If you don't have your phone with you now, don't stress. We're going to email you these as well. All right. Let me just check if there are any questions before we get to the lucky draw. Obviously, if there are any questions, now would be an opportunity to ask, because we're about to do the lucky draw. And if you haven't commented, or if you haven't sent in a question, or if you haven't said hello to us, you won't be able to take part in the lucky draw. It's an automatic feature with StreamYard that it'll only recognize you on this webinar if you've made a comment. That's how it works. So yeah, let's just see who has commented so far. So Ursula, thank you for the resources. I hope you found it useful. You were very, very welcome. Angela is saying, thank you, great ideas. Breathing cards are available on Twinkle if you're a member. Okay, that's great. Thank you for that. Nicole, please email slides to me. Yes, don't worry, all of you will get the slides tomorrow. That is a promise, as well as your bonus for attending. Those of you that attended live, it's all very well to register, but whether you arrived and attended live is another story. Elsa, you're very welcome. Great ideas to help. Any questions? Please pop those in the comments as well. Or any final thoughts, ladies? Any final thoughts before we do the lucky draw? Leandri, do you want to go? Do you want to go first, and then we'll finish off with Rianda? Anything you want to add?
No, I think it's just important to remember that they are also just like any other child. They want to make connections with their teacher and with their friends, and they so badly also want to play outside and do everything that all other children wants to do. So it's not that they want to isolate themselves. Sometimes they are just, pushed out You would always see someone, a child with autism, try to make a friend. So I think it's just important to be also very vigilant on that, and to maybe help them create connections and to support them in that as well. And then also just to create a safe space in the classroom, where they can feel when they get to the point where they can self-regulate and can feel that they close to a meltdown, where they can just step out and go and desensitize, or go away from all the sensory input and come back and continue. So it's such a privilege, and to work with children with autism. They've got brilliant minds. They are highly intelligent. So it's just really amazing to see all the knowledge coming from them on a specific subject as well. So yes.
Yeah.
And I can just go with that.
Rianda, any last thoughts or comments or strategies?
No, I mean, like Leandri said, autistic children is so amazing. I just love working with them. They are really amazing, and they've got so much to give. And you must just figure out how to get it out, because it's not their choice. They didn't pick this. They didn't choose this. It is how they are, and that's it. Something that I forgot to say is you can also choose an art activity or a special activity in your class that you know that autistic child will be 100% in. And then they will get the sticker, or they will get the praise. And then you focus on that specific thing, and then the rest will get a turn later on. Because then they also have this time to shine. And that's what they want. That's what we all want. Yes. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I see Charlene's made a very valid comment that schools should be made more aware of autism. Teachers in normal schools are not educated or experienced how to deal with the neurodivergent kids, which Charlene, you spot on, which is why Rianda and Leandri and myself are so passionate about what we do, is because we realize that there's not a lot of support for teachers out there. And we realize that the minute you start Googling, it becomes so overwhelming because there's just so much information there, and you go down this rabbit hole of what you can do, and you feel that there's never enough. You can never do enough, and you can never stop learning about how to be a more effective teacher, because none of us know it all. We're constantly learning, we're constantly upskilling. And if we can be a guide, and if we can be a resource for teachers, so that we are almost your library. You come to us, we are your library, and we will hopefully be able to give you the support and the resources that you need. So that is our goal. I don't think there are any more questions. We've just had such amazing comments. There was also one other comment here I just wanted to refer to, because she was also right about the fact that the terminology has changed. We don't speak about Asperger's as a separate diagnosis to autism. Brenda, you're 100% correct. It's autism spectrum disorder, and what we used to call Asperger's fits under that. So autism spectrum disorder is all there are lots of various types of autism. We talk about, if you've met one child with autism, you've met one child with autism. No two children are the same. So we talk about a high functioning or a low support needs child, as opposed to a high support child and a low functioning autism child. Does that make sense? So it's now, how much support do they require in order to be able to cope? It's high support versus low support or moderate. I hope I answered that correctly. All right, are we ready for the lucky draw? Let's do it. Okay, bear with me, because now I have to start being a little octopus here and do a whole lot of things all at once. So just bear with me. Start collecting comments. Okay, I need to share my screen. Okay, not that screen. We're going to share the giveaway tool screen. Okay, wait, I need to remove that, and we need to go the giveaway tool. Right, here we go. Stop sharing, and now we're going to share here. Okay, yes, the drum roll. Here we go.
Drum roll.
Here we go. Just tell me if it comes up before I press the button. Are you able to see it now before I press the button to go?
Yes.
Yes?
Yeah.
Yes.
Can you see that?
Yes.
Here we go.
Yes. Yeah.
Here we go. And draw.
Oh.
Obviously, none of us will be eligible.
Oh no.
Our names come up. Kim May.
Ah, congratulations.
Right, Kim May. Hopefully you're still watching. Kim, if you are there, let us know you're there, Kim. Otherwise, we'll redraw. Are you there, Kim? You need to be there to get it.
Oh, yeah.
If you're there, Kim, you need to put a comment in. Thank you, Penny.
Yeah.
You're very welcome.
Yeah.
You're very welcome, Penny. The practical suggestions. Yeah, she says she thinks 1 in 100 is a bit conservative. Yep, you might be right. You might be right. Delise, autism isn't a set of problems to be fixed. It's a different way of experiencing and interacting with the world. When we shift from how do I make the student fit the classroom to how can I make the classroom fit the student. Oh, I love that. Oh, I love that. We create an environment where all learners thrive, not just autistic ones. Oh, Delise, that's spot on. Absolutely spot on. Charlene, it would be great if talks can be hosted at the mainstream schools. We are available. We are available. We'll come to your school. We just need an invite. And guess who's here? I think we have our winner.
Aha!
I think we have our winner. Well done, Kim. Spot on. Spot on. We'll be in touch with you soon. Well done. Well done. Well done. Okay, now I need to go back to my slides again. Oh my goodness. Okay, guys.
You're doing good, Philippa.
We are finishing off. I think that was a very, very interactive. That's probably one of our most interactive webinars we've ever had, if I have to be honest.
That's wonderful.
Because
so nice.
Usually the teachers are very quiet this time of night. So it was nice to have everybody chatting away. All right. Here we go. So what I wanted to also say before we end off is that every month we have a different theme. And this, obviously, being April, was autism. Next month, being May, we will come up with a different theme. You'll see education services if you've joined our Facebook group. Our website is there. Our WhatsApp helpline is there. That is if you are in a situation where you don't know what to do, you don't know who to contact, you're not too sure what you're seeing in the classroom, or you're not too sure how to support this child, you can send us a WhatsApp and we will get hold of you within 24 hours. We'll hopefully reply. The red phone is very close by to where I sit every day. So that's my hotline. You can get hold of us through WhatsApp. You can get hold of us through our Facebook group. So hopefully you've all joined that, because on our WhatsApp group, we advertise when there are posts available, we advertise when there's webinars, we advertise when there are issues happening with education and we feel that teachers need to know about things. We put it on our Facebook group and we love interacting with you there. So yes, congratulations, Kim, says Lynn. And Ilse is also saying congratulations. It's this time for a seminar is perfect for extramurals is over and we can settle. That's great. I'm glad that the time suits you. All right. So I think that is it. We've come to the end. So thank you again for joining us, guys. And thank you for your time. Rianda and Leandri, I know you're both so busy. You always make time for this. So thank you so much.
It was good to
and
join.
hopefully we will see you next month for Let's Talk Teaching. I don't know what the date is, but it's the end of May, the last Wednesday in May. We'll be online again. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks for joining.
Bye.
See you next month.
Bye.
And good luck and have a lovely break. Have a lovely break next week. Bye. Right, guys, thank you so much for joining us. So honestly, it's an absolute pleasure to engage with you in this forum. We would love to come and do workshops at schools. We love going to schools and meeting with you and helping wherever we can. So If there's anything you need us to come and do, if you need staff development workshops, we're there. We have 2 activities that are SACE accredited. You can get points for those. So do make use of us. Get hold of us and we can come in and support you and see you in your classroom and say hello. So that's all from me. I think there are, 1 or 2 more comments. Thank you, Lynn. Chantel is saying, I agree with Lisa, 6 p.m. is good. All right, awesome. All right, guys, thank you so much and enjoy the rest of your evening. And we will speak to you very, very soon. Cheers now.